Well, I'm not too sure if we're back. I'll give it a second. Okay, I think we're back. That was a little weird. My camera wasn't turning on for some reason. Hello, hello. How is everyone today? I'm tired. I've been tired all week. I'm not even going to try to lie about that. I've been tired all week. I don't know. It's just been a very exhausting, tiring time. But we are here. We're going to continue. Don't mess with me. Why are you being so rude today? Anyway. Yesterday was Halloween. I did not dress up as Niffty from Hazbin Hotel because clearly this is all we have from Niffty, which is fine. I had decided to make it anyway. Hello, Christy. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the PC. I blame it on the small power outage we had this morning. We woke up to chirping. Our smoke detectors were chirping, and we then realized it was because the power went out. So the power was off in the neighborhood for about an hour. Don't know why, but it wasn't working. And I think it screwed up with all the systems. Probably. So right now, I'm just recovering from Halloween. Halloween is a very busy day for me. Not because it's just Halloween, it's also because, let me fix this. It's my husband's birthday, so aside from dealing with trick-or-treaters and taking my kid out to trick-or-treat or let him go out and trick-or-treat, I am getting stuff ready for my husband's birthday. So that means I'm like baking cakes in the morning and getting candy ready by the afternoon. So it was a very tiring day. I am tired, but I am trying to stick with my commitment to stream crafting every Tuesday and Friday. So we are here. So that's what's going on. So I am going to continue working on this dress. I don't know what else to say about it. I have some pieces already to sew. So I worked on getting the lining part done. I just have to attach the facings. And then I can start putting it together. I have to put the sleeves on first too. And I then can work on the skirts, which are hanging at the moment. So the circles the hem can level itself off. So we'll see how far we get today with this. I don't know how far I'm gonna get with it. I normally don't snack while sewing, so I'm like finishing my grapes now because I didn't eat much of breakfast. Breakfast was not, I wasn't hungry. I ate some Cheerios. How was my breakfast? And then I wanted something sweet. And I was like, stop eating candy, stop eating cookies, eat some fruit. That's what your body needs, fruit. So here we are, eating fruit. I must thank my husband for my emotional support dumpster. It's crocheted. And it says, it's fine, I'm fine, everything is fine. Ain't it cute? So it sits on my monitor. But Halloween was nice. The weather was great. Apparently, here in Tennessee, It's or at least in Eastern Tennessee, it's a thing to hang out on your driveway, sit in lawn chairs, and hand out candy. I did not know this. Yeah, so if things get wonky, it might be the power. So hopefully my bit rate and everything stays okay. Because I don't know what's gonna happen. No. I did post on Instagram I'm live. That I did. Well, that should work. But it's the Friday after it's Friday. I think everyone's excited it's Friday. I think everyone's excited to gain another hour of sleep this weekend. So we shall see. So let us get to sewing. I'm gonna attach the facings, attach the shoulder sleeves. I might do understitching before that, and I'll show what that looks like. And then I will work on sleeves, sew the sleeves together, put the sleeves in on the dress, on the fashion fabric, put the sleeves on the lining fabric, and sew the skirt. I did sew the pockets on the skirt, but I haven't sewn them together yet because I want to serge them, because this doesn't have a lining, so that needs to get serged. So I will probably be pulling out my serger later, but for now, let's see what we get done. It doesn't look like my music's being registered on OBS. There we go. Again, we're listening to, I don't know, jazz music from Streamlabs. Let's get to sewing. I've added a light to my table because it is a rainy day here, rainy, cloudy day here in good old Eastern Tennessee. So it's dark in this room. So even with my ring light pointing at the table, it's still not enough light for the sewing machine. So the sewing machine looks dark and dreary. So I had to add more light. Move the dress form out of the way. Keep bumping into it. Okay. I hope everyone else had a nice Halloween. Even if you didn't have trick-or-treaters or didn't go out, I hope it was a cozy day. I had nice cozy vibes. I spent my whole Halloween, I spent all of the evening of the 30th and into the 31st watching Agatha All Along, and I finished it. So I sat and watched Agatha All Along all Halloween, and it was a nice treat. So I enjoyed it. It was a good show. Curious to see where it's gonna go with the second season, because clearly they have plans for a second season. Okay, I need to reposition myself. Oh, there we go. Okay. I need to be careful because the pins get stuck to my sweater. This is what happens when I wear a grandma sweater. The sweater is probably more meant for knitting than anything. Yes, we are still in the post-Halloween haze in this household, so my shirt is a Halloween shirt from Tea Turtle. It has pumpkins and frogs. Because, you know, we love frogs here. This is a frog-friendly channel. Frogs are a thing. And this is the little pond that we are on. The little nurturing pawn. So Agatha all along got finished, which I'm excited about. Now I can see why Usako suddenly wanted to do like a Coven cosplay for next Comic-Con. I was like, oh, I can see why she wants this, so that worked. And I should be doing this the other side now. The error of my ways. Okay. I can't see if the fabric's puckering if I don't have it this way. I should probably have done it this way to begin with. Problem is, I pinned it the wrong way then. Okay, this side's pinned the right way, so let's do this side first. Mistakes were made again. Always try to sew on the side that will show the, if you deal with some curves and stuff, you probably want to make sure you're sewing on the side where you can see the fabric pucker to make sure you keep the fabric nice and flat as you sew. Because a lot of it is just manipulating it under the needle in a very specific way to ensure everything comes out nice and smooth. So. And I realize now I had my pins on the wrong side on that other piece. And now I'm like, oh, I don't want to take out all those pins. But I'm gonna have to because I need to be able to put it on the flat side, not the side it was on. Pull this back. Pull the excess back and flatten it out. I don't know why I went and got all fancy with this dress, but that's what I do. Hyper fancy and hyper, I don't know, silly. Excited to have the weekend to snooze and relax and just have some good old calming time, because that's necessary at this point in life. Okay. There's something going on here. And I feel like I'm doing something wrong. I'm probably not doing anything wrong. In my head, I'm like, I'm doing something wrong. And I know it's not. But I feel like it is. Okay, I'm gonna go get my sewing clips. Okay, let's see. Actually, I think we're gonna be not lazy and base stitch this, because I feel if I base it, I will have better manipulation of the fabric as I sew. So let's hand sew. Let's do some hand sewing. Hand sewing is always exhausting, but also at the same time satisfying. Very satisfying. Okay. loudness for no reason. Oh no. That might be a better idea. I'm just gonna move this off so you can see me. Okay. Mainly because I do not trust myself with the pins on the sewing machine. It's not curving the way I would like it to. I'm gonna hand base my facing pieces into place on my cotton because I'm having a hard time manipulating them with just pins and the machine itself. So now, one thing I know I did wrong was I made them too long. I extended them in a way I should not have. So that is part of the things I need to fix. So let's just do a basty baste here to hold it in place while I sew, because it'll make it easier for me, because the fabric will kind of already be in place and holding its shape at that time. So let's see. So it was interesting being here for Halloween, mainly because like I said, everyone sits outside and they just hang out. Parents like kind of chill out there. They almost make like a family in the neighborhood essentially just set up a barbecue, and we're like barbecuing because it was so warm on top of it. And I'm like, hey, that's a good idea. Make sure you have dinner while you are handing out candy to trick-or-treaters. That sounds like a plan. So I feel like I'm going to be much more prepared next year. So I figure next year I'll probably set up like maybe like a table, make it look like a little candy booth or something, and just like hand out candy. Also too, they handed out a boat ton of candy. My kid came back home with more candy than I bought myself for the for the trick-or-treaters. I did not expect them to hand out that much candy. In fact, one of them made like a really nice like almost like a mini shopping bag of goodies, and it was like, holy cow. It had cotton candy, cookies, I think chips were in it. It was like you went all out. Wow. Which I'm like surprised, because where we used to live, it was a much poorer area, so everyone was always like looking for money, funding, food. Like it was I think there was like a post almost every day on Facebook that would always be family less fortunate trying to find a way to like feed their family. And now I live in an area that's a bit more well off. Everyone seems to be pretty financially stable as opposed to the last place we lived, and therefore I guess everyone's showing their abundance by handing out a bunch of candy bags and such. So okay, so this looks way better. It's much more stabilized. I pulled on it a little, so now it made a pucker, but now it's on there and I can run it through the machine with greater ease than I had the last set. I forgot my seam ripper is in my drawer, so let me go pull that out so I can do the other side. I really hope it doesn't keep raining all day. That will be annoying. To a degree. Okay. So now we're moving into the holiday season. And it's funny because I've mentioned online how my child is not one of those kids that he's a consumer. He loves like shopping and stuff like that. However, he doesn't like the consumer approach to the holidays. So he can't stand seeing stuff for Halloween out in July. Like it's summer, not Halloween. So he will risk not getting things because for him it's not the season. It's very much his neurodivergence on like high speed. So he's all like, no, it is not Halloween. We don't need to buy Halloween decorations. And it's like, but it's gonna be gone by the time Halloween comes. Which generally it is. And we can't buy it. So I have had to repeatedly explain to him that if I don't buy things by a certain time, it will not exist. So one of the things that I purchased about a week ago was a Christmas tree because we had one where we lived in North Carolina. However, the tree last year bit the dust. Like half the lights went off on the bottom in the middle of like the holiday season, and then after the holidays, like the entire top portion of the tree died. The lights died as well. So like now we had maybe a couple of lights in the middle of the tree, and the top and the bottom were completely dark. And it was just like, yeah, I think this tree has served us well. It has been in our home. It was in my home, the house for years. My husband had bought it even before I moved in. So he had asked me if I liked that tree or not because he loves Christmas and he didn't have a Christmas tree, and I helped pick out the tree. So it was our tree, but it was just funny that it died right before we moved. So I basically threw it out, and I was shopping in Lowe's for a light bulb. It had I wasn't even looking for a Christmas tree. I just so happened to notice that all the Christmas trees were out, and I was like, we need a Christmas tree, and this one's really pretty, and it's, $80. So I bought a Christmas tree, and my son was like, why did you buy a Christmas tree? It's not even Thanksgiving. Like, Thanksgiving hasn't happened. And I was like, we're fine. Because if I don't buy it now, there will be no Christmas tree. And you want a Christmas tree, right? Because I want a Christmas tree. So it's not like I bought the Christmas tree and was like putting it out to decorate it. No, it's in my garage. It's gonna probably sit in my garage until Thanksgiving. And after we have our turkey, I will go and make, I will go and decorate the Christmas tree. I realized I didn't want it there. I wanted it on the other end. I think I did it on the wrong side there too. Yeah, so I have a Christmas tree. I'm still trying to understand how to decorate this house. I'm still trying to unpack my house. I mean, most of the stuff is unpacked. I think it's more the whole thing of like homing everything and putting everything in its place that I'm just still desperately trying to figure out. And it's just very exhausting when I live with two people who are very content with the house looking the way it currently does, which is not the way I like the house to look. And it's not that it's messy or anything, it's just like nothing really feels like it's in place. Everything just feels like it was placed down somewhere to just be put away later. And I'm not vibing with that. That's not my ideal style of decorating, so. And not to mention that our kitchen is still not optimal. It's driving me nuts because I don't mind cooking. My husband loves cooking, and yet the kitchen does not work for me. There's still so much so wrong with it, and I'm just confused. I'm like, why does this kitchen feel so disjointed? And I have like some solution ideas. I just need to take some time and actually, I don't know, see how that works. So it's November 1st. And that means in a couple of days, it will be 2 months since I've moved into this house. And it's wild. Because here I am, like, streaming frequently and stuff, despite the fact that we literally moved in 2 months ago. I feel like I pushed myself to get a lot done. It does help that I basically don't work at the moment, so this helps me out a ton to just be able to like sit back and be like, okay, well, we need to get this house fixed, and I've been able to do that quite easily, and thankfully everything. See how nice that comes out now that I basted it in place. And this is off because I realized when I was making the facing, I added seam allowance to it when I didn't, because my original pattern had seam allowance and I was basing it off my original pattern, so this shouldn't be here because I made a mistake. So that's why it's off center, but I know that because after when I was making this pattern, the lining pattern piece, I realized the facing was done incorrectly, so that was a problem. So I'm going to change this side. So like this side, as you can see, the excess is at the shoulder seam, and I want the shoulder seams to be seamless, and if I have to trim, I rather trim on the straight edge than a curved side. So I'm gonna pull this one out and redo it. Again, you can probably just do this with pins, but since it was already giving me a hard time on the machine itself, I wasn't about to continue forcing it because it was just going to make me more frustrated. So I rather have it based down flat and ready to go. I should have done this when I was first putting it together, but I didn't think about it at the time. I was like, oh, I should be able to do this and I'll just manipulate the fabric as I sew. And clearly that was not going to happen. Also too, I think I didn't think about it because I was watching Agatha all along, so oops. Like ironing and like cutting out fabric is something I probably can do while I'm watching something that I'm vested into, but actually making like planning decisions on how I'm going to sew something might not be the best time when I'm like invested in a show. So yeah, I didn't even get far because I was like, oh, I'm gonna start sewing my skirt together, and I literally put the pockets on and put the facing on, pinned the facing on, and started and went and sat down and continued watching the show. So that was a sign that it was My thoughts of sewing this while watching Agatha all along was not going to happen, so I should have known better. It's interesting to see that there's like quite a few conventions happening this weekend. So there's one that's having a major competition. It's called ICL, International Cosplay League, and it's a competition that like gets a whole bunch of different it's mainly European and Spanish speaking countries, because they have Spain and Mexico in there, and they also have the United States, and they have a qualifier this weekend on a convention in Detroit. So I'm very curious to see who they pick. It's a craftsmanship and performance, and they have two different categories. The duo is craftsmanship and performance, and the solo is craftsmanship only. They basically just do a glorified walk-on. I watched this year's ICL. They live streamed it on Twitch. So it was quite interesting watching it, because they very much had interesting ways. Watching like European competitions in general is just a different vibe than American ones. Their humor, their sense of drama and theatrics is very different than ours. So when you watch it, it's like a different beast altogether, and you're like, wow. I think one of the things that I kind of laugh at is how grim so many of the skits are. Like literally you could tell, like especially like the Nordic countries and stuff, a lot of it is just like very grim dark, very like fairy tale, like Grimm's fairy tales vibes. And all, it's like sometimes it's like you watch it and you're like, are you okay? Are you okay, guys? You sure you're okay? Okay. Yeah. You see, because this was already like causing like so much puckering in the fabric, it wasn't gonna lie flat, and it was gonna bother me. I know it shouldn't bother me because this costume isn't like, again, competition, but it's just like I don't like making costumes that aren't well made anymore. I lived that life for many years, that I would rush a costume because I wanted it for a convention, and I just kind of finished it for the sake of finishing it. And it never was truly finished. It was kind of just there, and I wasn't completely in love with it, and then I didn't wear it again. So that's where we have the whole thing of like, there's a ton of costumes. There were a ton of costumes in my closet that lost their appeal because they weren't the vision of what I had expected it to look like when I finished. So I've currently made the collective decision to just sew things that I love and that are to my standard and look beautiful, and they're like gorgeously made. Doesn't matter how simple it is, because I want it to last a long time. And that's a decision I made myself. That wasn't something like somebody told me I had to do. Because I could have easily just slapped this together, just serged that bodice and called it a day and had been finished with it. But that's not the route we're going. That's not the vibe. that vibe does not exist anymore. So I think in light of the winter season coming ahead and the holidays, I'm thinking I kind of want to make a Santa cosplay. Like a cute Santa cosplay, but I don't know which character to make a Santa outfit for. Like I'm like, maybe I should do an old school one or somebody new. I don't know. Like, I would like to do a Santa costume, or maybe I can make like an original idea of a Santa costume for somebody. I don't know. I really want to do like a cute Santa outfit for somebody. I don't know what. I have to figure it out. Okay, we're gonna start in the middle here because again, I added seam allowance where I was not supposed to. So I'm going to start sewing in the middle so the excess can go off the shoulders, because unlike the center back one, this does not have a straight side, so I'll do it off the shoulders on this one, which is fine. It's not the end of the world. It's not what I wanted to do, but whatever. So it's actually interesting because I didn't watch all the Halloween movies I normally would watch this year. One, because obviously I'm still settling in, and two, I've been streaming, so like during the times that I was not doing things, I didn't put my TV on or my movies that I loved watching. I love watching during Halloween. So I think even though it's like not Halloween anymore, I'm probably still going to like just continue like watching some of them because it's still like, autumn. It's still, there's still an air, there's still a spooky air vibe going on, so why not? So I'll probably continue doing that. So I'll probably set aside and do that. But I think I really want to make a Christmas Santa. I haven't done one in years. The last one I did was like for a group that was like with Ray, and I was Ray. We were supposed to have an Asuka and Mari from Evangelion. And I don't know what happened with Asuka, but we had Ray. I was Ray, and my friend was Mari, and we went into the city during dreaded SantaCon. Never go into New York City during SantaCon unless you want to be stuck around a bunch of belligerent Santa Clauses bar hopping. We didn't even go to any of the bars where SantaCon was happening. It was more like we were just in the city with the army of people dressed up as Santas. And that was the last time I wore an anime Santa costume. So for years I've wanted to do the Ronka Lee Santa outfit. I was gonna even try to do that last year, and I didn't. Life got away from me and I didn't even realize it. So this year I feel like I might be able to get something done. Also too, it's just a very weird time for me in general because normally in November, I am doing NaNoWriMo stuff, and I am not doing that anymore. The company has been saying some wild statements that make no sense. And a lot of it has to go with AI and AI practices and the usage of AI in writing and so on, and how they're okay with writing to be part of more generative AI as opposed to assisted AI. And they made some they gave wild reasons explaining why they're okay with it. And AI is such a touchy subject, especially within the creative community, that I am like, y'all wild. I can't support people like this. And they already had issues going on. They had a whole bunch of grooming going on in the forums, which I never used. And that was like the thing. Like, a lot of people who were using the Nano site weren't even using the forums. Like, some people went to like the regional pages just to know like if any groups were meeting for like writing sessions so they could write with other people and body double. So I normally do NaNoWriMo, and I'm kind of sad that that's not a thing this year. However, I have some writing groups that are participating in writing events that they're making their own, so I might just join one of my other writerly groups and do something with them. So I might just start doing that like a little later on tonight and like jumpstart my personal novel writing moments. The good thing is, it's like, especially the group I am a part of, they're like talking about like even doing the challenge, like repeating this challenge multiple times in the year, like in January when it's a new year and new fresh start and everyone's excited. Because a lot of people were doing that to begin with. They were skipping out on Nano and doing what was it, NaNoWriMo, which was like 31 days of like writing a novel, because January is like a very boring month after the new year and no one really has anything going on. Unless you're a cosplayer on the East Coast and you're getting ready for Katsucon. Yeah, January is a really empty year. So, or going to MagFest, like, you know, like for people like who go to conventions on the East Coast, January is pretty hectic month. So if you're on the West Coast, you're going to ALA in January. So I don't know, but I might join that challenge, that month-long writing challenge, to see, because I really want to start getting my novels in gear. Like, I've kind of put off working on them a little far too long at this point. Yeah, I was in the midst of moving. Yeah, this was going on. I'm getting a little more settled in, despite some family insanity, which I am probably not going to talk about here until everything's said and done with that. So, okay, we're done there with this. So now I can sew it again. So, hopefully all goes well and nothing crazy happens, and we can move on with life. So that would be important. Let me put these guys together so I can just sew them when the time's right. Again, I keep saying, some of the longest parts of sewing is not necessarily the actual sewing. It is the prep and finishing. Because sewing these lines straight across is not going to be a hardship. It's going to be putting the shells together, making sure the shells line up, making sure they are all flat and perfect. And that's what's going to take time. Not the put it together part. It's the cutting of the fabric. It's the cutting of the fabric. It's everything else that just takes so long. I feel like these streams are showing it because just cutting the fabric for Niffty and everything has taken me like a whole stream to like cut out all the fabric pieces for the dress. Took a whole stream, and I'm on here for like about 2.5 to 3 hours. So that's 2.5 to 3 hours of just cutting fabric, and depending on how intricate your pattern is, it could take longer. So this idea of I'm just gonna chop it up and just move on, it's like, well, depending on how you make it, yeah, it can be done pretty quickly. Otherwise, no. Actually, let me make sure I'm doing this the right way. If I find my sewing needles, I'm trying to put them in the cover of my pin case. However, I fear I will cover up the pin case. I'll cover up my magnetic pins and lose the sewing needles I have just slid in here. They just kind of, you see one there. So yeah, knowing me, I'll just go, eh. And that progress is done. So I think what I'll do is instead take them out and put them in my sewing needle case so I don't lose them. I believe the sun is trying to reveal itself. Will it succeed? I don't know. Okay. Snacks are important. Okay. Ugh. Having rugs is difficult. Since the first stream where my water bottle fell off this table, I have decided to keep it on my desk, far away from me, so I do not spill it again. Oh, that's what I need to do. There are a few things I need to do. Like, one, I need to set up the Discord server. Second, I need to fix the bots, because I want to have like bot alerts come on. So those are a few things I need to get done. Okay, let's see if this helps. I seriously hope it does, because it's gonna suck if it doesn't. Alright, let's see what magic we have. Oh no, my foot pedal is not with me. My foot pedal has escaped. Actually, go underneath here. There we go. That works better. So we finished the other night Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I am not 100% thrilled with the ending. It leaves off on a... It leaves off completed, but yet there's still, like, so many questions that I'm like, but what about that? And what about that? So now I'm kind of like, do I want to read the manga now? The manga's still actually ongoing. It's not finished, so I feel like they animated all the stuff that they had up until like whatever is currently in the manga. That I think they animated whatever had a closed off ending, and whatever was still left open in the manga they didn't touch, which makes sense. Not everyone's gonna pull an Utena. Let's just be for real. Not everyone's going to end the story before the actual source ends because they don't want to mess it up. So that is what's going on. So yeah, Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting was cute. Especially if you just want something like kind of lighthearted, because there are some heavy topics in that show. I'm not going to say it's completely lighthearted because there are some heavy topics about like law, parental loss, childhood, like having a rough childhood and stuff like that. Those things are in the narrative, so it's not completely fluffy. But one would not expect it to be completely fluffy. Especially if you're talking about like mobsters. That would be a little weird. So okay, I think if I iron it out, it should be fine. There's like one little tiny pucker, and I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, it's one little tiny pucker. It should be okay. Although, how? It completely, like, did not line up here. Like, what is this? Ugh. I'll fix that later. Okay, I'm gonna fix this again. This is gonna drive me nuts otherwise. Okay. Watch me do it with this, and suddenly, like, it'll be fine. No problems. But why are you so difficult sometimes? I feel like I make my life more difficult. Again, I didn't have to do this. I'm doing this because I wanted to do it this way. I have no one to blame but myself. So after we finished watching Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting, we are now watching Skip and Loafer, which is adorable. I'm loving Skip and Loafer. We didn't get to watch it while it was airing, so it's nice to save some things during like very busy seasons so you can like catch up on them during off seasons or seasons that don't have enough to like to watch. So what I'm actually excited about is The Empress on Netflix. Oh my gosh, it's about one of like those like Dutch courts and stuff like that where there were like wars. I enjoyed it. I liked The Empress a lot when I watched it. I literally came across it just randomly and was just like, oh, this is really cool, and I got hooked onto it like so easily. It was like, yes. I think it was like after like a season of Bridgerton and I had no other historical things to watch. So Netflix had that and I was like, I'm digging it. So I'll watch The Empress. What I think I might do at some point is like rewatch like the the White Queen, the Black Queen. Like I didn't get to see the Black Queen, because that's like about the Tudor dynasty, before Henry VIII. So it's like there's a whole bunch of like stuff like that. So like I saw the Spanish Princess, which was about Catherine of Aragon, and I adored that. It's actually like a book series, very popular book series. So I need to kind of catch up on those because I think those are really good series. I enjoy them a lot. I didn't get to watch the Black Queen or the Black Princess. Oh, the Serpent Queen, the Serpent Princess is what it was, something like that. Did not get to watch that one, so I want to watch that one. But I kind of want to watch the other ones, like the White Queen, the Spanish Princess, because they actually explain a lot of the history, and I forget the history from like one season to the next. So, which is also why the channels tend to like repeat them right before like one of them airs, because they know people are gonna forget like all the historical references because it's been so long between seasons. But those are things I like would watch all the time with my mom. My mom loves those histories, so like we watched the Tudors when it came out. So we watched the Borgias. The Borgias were good too. With the Vatican family, the Italian, like the first Italian mob type thing. Very good. So actually, as I'm doing this, I realize I should probably just, yeah, I should do it the way I was thinking of doing it. This is taking so long. So annoying. I feel like I'm just like unpicking, repicking, unpicking, repicking. But I won't be happy unless it's nice and neat. So I'd rather take my time with this. The unseen worlds of cosplay. Redoing things 50 million times so it looks right. Yeah, I think what I'm gonna just do is I'm going to match the center and the centers, even if it's longer, because what will happen is I'll be able to cut the excess off on this with better precision than what I have currently, because this is just giving me too much grief. So I'd rather just trim it off at the shoulder seam at this point, because it's being too difficult at the moment. So maybe it wasn't a bad idea that I made it a little longer. Maybe. These in theory should not be difficult to put in, however. Because everything's on a curve, it is difficult. Like sewing on curves is not easy. Especially when you want everything to look nice and neat. It's never easy. It's always difficult. So because fabric doesn't want to curl, it wants to lay flat because that's how it naturally sits. That's why you have to heat up fabric and like adjust it, manipulate it with heat and shape so it can move the way you want it to. I'm having a slight internal debate if I want to stream on Tuesday or not crafting, because there's no school next Tuesday for the election. He this year he actually has off again, where in the past he wasn't getting off. Because he wasn't in a public school when we lived in North Carolina. He was in a charter school. So this year we're back in public education. Yay, I'm excited about that. I love public education. However, he will be home. And I know my child, he gets loud and rowdy, and I like to craft with the door open just because it's easier for me to access things. And I'm just like, do I want to have this child around? Although I might just do it anyway. Because I'll probably still be working on this. I don't know what I'll be working on that day. Maybe I'll work on the mask for her eye. I think that would be a fun project to do, and it'll take a while, so it's not like something I can do like easily overnight. So again, I have a very slight pucker, but I'm okay with that. Also too, apparently I didn't make them as big as I thought I did, so yeah, I actually do have to do it this way. So after looking at it, it's like, it's only this little tiny bit. So I did make the facing the correct size. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. So that means my center one that I basted, I'm going to have to fix that one too. Although that one shouldn't be too bad because I did it in the center. Like I placed it in the center, so... And I might just start sewing it in the center because it might just be easier to do it that way. So let's pull this out because this didn't work out very well either. An hour into the stream and I'm still not done with the facings on this bodice. This is the thing, like I'm a flow sewer. Like I honestly do not know how in the past I used to pump out costumes as frequently as I did with the speed I did. And I think part of it was I wasn't caring so much about the finishing or making sure everything was done properly. It was purely out of, this needs to be done, like I'm just gonna do it and sew it however I could. There were a few times that I did focus on it, and those were the times I actually got rewarded for it, but that's not the game now. At least not at the level I'm currently at. Like I'm not at that level to just like slap things together and be like, it's fine. It's fine. No one's gonna see it. Because that was the mindset I had in the past. In the past was just like, well, no one's gonna see it. It doesn't matter. And we just, slap it together. But at the same time, I feel like people didn't care back then. And it was fine. That is not the vibe now. Like now, very cutthroat. Very, you didn't do it right. That's not how it looked. And then you have very angry people at you. So, let's see. I really am gonna have to take off that tea turtle sticker. I don't even know why I have it. Again, it was like one of those, oh, people have their stickers on their sewing machine. Maybe I should do that too. I don't know why. I don't know why it's there. It's just, it just exists. I'm gonna put post-it note over it next time. Should put my name on it on a post-it note right here. Like Simply Wisty. That might not be a bad idea. Maybe I can make a little decal. Also, too, it's like, it's not a frog. It's a turtle. And not that turtles and frogs don't coexist, but it's not a frog. And we are a frog household. I completely forgot to check my bobbin. Make sure I have. I'm doing this on the wrong side again. Okay. This reminds me of something that, like, Elvis Presley would have played back in the day. That was a movie I enjoyed. The Elvis movie. Whether it was true or not, I feel it was a very good representation of a man whose life spiraled out of control way too fast. I went and saw that movie with my mom. One of the things that she kept telling me was how the guy who played Elvis reminded her so much of Elvis, because she was little when Elvis was alive and performing, and so she literally was like blown away with how well he portrayed Elvis. She really was. So it was nice that we got to do that together one year. It was like one of my when I was in North Carolina and I hadn't moved when I had moved, so it was like a treat, a rare treat for us to do something like just the two of us without anybody else around. It was really nice. So okay. Not bad looking. I kind of want my granola bar now, though. Well, it's not looking as tragic as I thought it was going to look, so that's working for me. It's interesting how different social media sites work now. So I posted something on Blue Sky that I did not expect to get the traction that it did. And I don't even know why. let's see. I think I am gonna just do this from the center. It might save me some grief. If I do it from the center, as opposed through the front, through the ends, because it might just work out that way. Let's do that. Let's see. Okay. No, again, the puckering. Yeah, so when I ever get puckering on a curve, I essentially just make sure my needle's down, pick up my foot, and reorient the fabric in a way that it won't get caught in the machine. Because sometimes it's not even that, oh, it's extra and no, it literally is just the fabric folds on itself. So you just want it to make it nice and flat. So this is a way to ensure that you don't get the puckers that I've been so fiercely fighting against. Oh, I think the sun's coming out. I'm getting more natural light in the room. Again, this is one of the reasons why I say I'm very hesitant to do evening crafting streams, because I do not have very good lighting in this room. And it's hard enough to get the lighting adjusted during the daytime when it's bright and I have the sun shining in the room. It is very difficult to do that otherwise. Okay, I got one side done. And it did not pucker that badly at all. So let's do the other side. And like I said, I'm probably going to iron it first and then do the understitching and then move on. Okay. Okay, this is going to be a little difficult because I'm going to try to do it on this side of the machine instead. Why? Because I want to be able to see this part. No. I want to continue the seam. Where is it? There we go. Now this is contrary to my normal orientation. This is not how I should be sewing it, but because I want to be able to see this part of the fabric. I'm kind of have to go against my natural ways and contradict my orientation just to make sure I don't get puckers on this side of the fabric, because generally you want the fabric to be on the outside of the arm, not all bunched up in here. But since this is the only way I'm gonna be able to see this part of the fabric, I kind of have to do it this way. And I am not, I'm already like, if I was moving slowly before, now we're at snail level pace because I need to make sure I do this right. Without too much of a, I think I already got a pucker. Without too much of a disaster. Okay. Hopefully it'll continue. Let's make sure we're okay. I think we're okay. I think we're okay. The machine came undone on the hook. On the hook piece all the way up here. So now the thread's acting like a butthead because it does that. Which is fine. I fixed it, but now I have to fix this. Not cool, not cool. Okay. We only have a little bit left. Can we do this? Yes, we can. Somehow, maybe? I think I can. I think I can. Nope. Not there. Not there, buddy. There? Yes, there. There's much better. Okay. Will it work? I hope so. It's kind of interesting because I literally think I'm just seeing like the next cosplay hot take unfold on Threads before my eyes. So it's probably going to be this week's newest obsession. Which is kind of funny when you see things happen in real time and you're just like, oh, so that's what's the next, that's what's going to be the next soapbox moment for everybody online. Because, you know, there's no major competition. Well, there are, but I don't think people even recognize ICL is happening, so. So. To be honest, I don't even know what to say sometimes when I see these things happen, because I'm just like, don't know what to tell you there, buddy. Don't know what to say there. I don't like the way this looks here, so we are going to fix this little line here. I wonder if they're gonna do the work they said they would do outside today. I'm supposed to be getting my lawn aerated and seeded between today and tomorrow, and I'm just like, can you please do it today? So I don't have to, my husband doesn't have to deal with you people being loud and making noises, so. Will it get done today? I don't know. Kind of hoping, but we'll see what happens. So right now I'm just going back over some areas that I don't like how bunchy it looks, so I'm going to help flatten it out as best I can by raising my foot and manipulating the fabric to be flat in the area. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. So, and sometimes it helps to actually have something you can use to help keep the fabric flat. And normally I have a little clay tool that I use that looks like a little hand to hold my fabric flat, which I should probably get. This is the little tool I use. I know it's like, it looks like a ridging tool, like to make ridge lines in your clay, but I like using it to just flatten the fabric and keep it smooth as I run it through the machine. And I don't know why I didn't pull it out earlier, but I didn't. So. Because I can't always get underneath the foot, although my nails are pretty helpful to do that, but I don't want to be ruining my nails just to flatten out fabric, so here we are. Okay. I got a little tiny one. I don't think I can get rid of it, but I think I got all the other ones done. So. Oh, we are good. Okay, cool. This works out for me. Now I'm just going to iron these to make sure they're nice and flat. Also will help with some of the puckers. And then I will understitch it to make sure the facing lays flat and doesn't shift while I wear the dress. So the cotton should iron out pretty flat, so that's a good thing. And while my iron heats up, I'll sew up the sleeves so I can have that ready too, and I can iron them all in one go. That might work out nicely. Did I not clip all my threads on my lining? Clearly I did not, so. Okay. So now I have a pile of excess threads that should have been in my garment, but not. Yeep. That's why you always have extra thread, or you make sure you buy a lot of thread. Always like get an extra spool if you can, because you might need it. So, okay. Okay. That one got done. But this side did not get done. Okay. That's weird. This thread looks like it's coming undone, so I'll just run it through the machine one more time. I don't need this messing up while I'm sewing the lining onto the bodice. Okay. I think we're getting somewhere. Okay. That's done. But now this is the one I need to do. Come on now. I am desperately gonna have to get my nails done sooner than later. Let me turn on the iron and then come back to this. Okay, so while the iron heats, I'm going to sew the sleeves together. And then I can iron them. So, one less thing to worry about. 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now, I just use 5/8 of an inch seam allowance mainly because that's what most commercial patterns use. And that's what I'm accustomed to. But you can make your seam allowance thinner, which some people do. They make their seam allowances smaller as to save fabric. Some make it larger, so in case they have to adjust, they can. Although I'll admit, 5/8 of an inch seam allowance is pretty generous, and even sewists online say it is a very generous seam allowance, because I believe European patterns do not use this much seam allowance at all. But in Europe and other countries, they buy fabric by the meter and not the yard, so they, I believe, get a little less fabric than we do, so I can see why they don't want to have such wide seam allowances. Again, I'm just comfortable with 5/8 of an inch, so that's what I use. Not because it's right or anything, it's because that's what I'm accustomed to. So I automatically put my foot at my fabric under my machine at the 5/8 mark. Okay, time to iron. I'll be on the other side for now. And when in doubt, this is why we always iron our fabric. See how crisp and clean it is? And then this is not iron. You don't get that flat line. And because this edge is curved, I'm going to use my pinking shears to give more ease in the fabric. So when the curve pulls, it's not pulling against itself. And now it's pinked. So now this will help the curve lay flatter and manipulate better. So I'm going to do that for the rest of the facing. Looks like the people that are gonna come and aerate and fertilize my lawn did show up. I was like, hey, somebody's ringing my doorbell. Who is that? So yeah, that's where the sudden intermission came from. However, before I continue, I need to get their payment done. I should probably check something first. Such is my life right now. I will admit, when we had the power outage this morning, I hit peak adulthood moment because my greatest concern was not so much that we didn't have power. It was how was I going to make coffee this morning and if I was going to have to go out and buy coffee. Thankfully, the power came back on in time. Okay, my check is written, so when they ring the bell again, it'll be good to go. I want that one. No, that's not the one I want. I want this one. I'm gonna continue to iron and continue to iron and get the facings ready. Aerate the lawn. If you hear loud lawn sounds in the background, they're aerating my lawn, so. Let me... That's not what I wanted to do. I want to fill up this bobbin so I don't have to worry about it running out when I'm doing the rest of this. Oh, I forgot to do the sleeves. I should do the sleeves. By do the sleeves, I mean I should iron the sleeves because I forgot to iron them. So, oops. Let's thread the bobbin. It feels funny. Let's do it this way. It's fine. Huh. I got them. Let me rotate the camera back here so you can see the sewing aspect of this. There we go. We have returned to the sewing portion. I don't even know how long like this takes. This is a process that we never did back where we lived. Mainly because our grass was pretty resilient. Never gave us issues. For some reason, the grass here doesn't look so nice. So I wanted to get it aerated. I'm gonna iron these real fast. Something went on with my facing. Not happy. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna understitch this. And what that basically is I'm gonna take the fabric, like the seam allowance, and push it over underneath the fashion fabric, and it's gonna make a nice little finishing stitch on the very edge here. So it looks really pretty. And it also keeps the fabric from like folding over or like looking all weird and lumpy and stuff. So they're back. BRB. And we're back. Okay. All right, so understitching, we're pushing this fabric under the fashion layer to help smooth it out and make it look all pretty. Let's just trug along on this seam and see what comes out of it. As I'm like trying to flatten the fabric here to make sure it stays nice and smooth. It's funny because I picked up this trick about using something to help guide the fabric when it's very close to the presser foot from sewing videos. I had bought a collection of sewing videos from Threads magazine. So I have a whole DVD collection on different sewing techniques because I wanted to really learn how to sew. And that was one of the things. And that's where I actually learned about understitching. So now I have this nice little stitch that holds my seam allowance in place, won't let it bunch or move or anything like that, and it will keep the fabric laying really smooth and nicely underneath when it's against the fashion layer. So, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the neckline when I sew the lining and the neck together. So I'm always surprised how fast, like, landscapers or like people who do all these things, how quickly they get things done. So because 'tis the season to get your all your outdoor stuff in gear, because when the spring and summer hit, it's too late to put any of the seating and stuff down. So there we go. We got another understitch done. It looks so pretty. Like, that's another reason why I tend to do it a lot. It makes it look really pretty. It makes it look very finished and well put together. Oh, actually, I have to look at them real fast, because before I forget, I want to put a label on them. I actually want to make custom, this is gonna sound silly, I want custom labels to sew into my clothing that I make and my costumes, so people know they are my costumes that I made by my own hands. I think that is like such a cute idea. It's absolutely unnecessary, but I think it's cute. I think it adds to the finishing and crispness of a garment, and I really want to do that. I did buy like generic sewing labels before that are like made with love, which I was like, wait, I need to put this on the lining before I forget, because I will forget, and I rather sew it on now that I'll remember it than not. So I'll probably grab one now so I can put on the lining before I forget, because I think it would be so cute, such a cute little addition. So let's see. So I'm working on the lining shelf for Nifty's bodice. We were having some issues with making sure the facings worked were sewn in properly, with minor puckering, but the curves were giving us issues, as curves do. So, but we got it done. And as you see, like here, I have a small pucker, which now that I did the understitching, it may not be so bad, because the understitching will help hold that fabric back. Let me go look for those sewing labels. Yeah, they're from like some generic seller. It just says handmade. It's like handmade with love. So I want to put that on the back here. So I'll probably put it like here. I'll probably put it here where the center back is, but I want to make sure I put it far enough that the seam allowance from the zipper doesn't get in the way. And the seam allowance at the zipper is supposed to be 1 inch away instead of 5/8 of an inch. Yeah. I think I'm supposed to do it a little further in more. So I'm gonna, yeah, this is a good spot for it. Okay. I'm gonna put it a little lower to make sure it gets put inside properly. Actually, that should be fine where it is. So I'm just gonna tack it in place really quickly. I think it's such a cute little addition to this. So now when I put the fashion layer and the lining together, it will fold over, although it might be too low high, so let me lower it down a little bit. Because I normally do 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, so let me just pull this one out and put it lower. It's just a silly, it's like a not necessary touch, but I think it's just gonna look really cute because I'm gonna sew it there when I do my lining. It's gonna be at this mark. So there we go. There we go. It should, that should work. Actually, yeah, that will work. And if I have to pull out the basting stick, I'll pull it out later. But for now, it's not the end of the world. I think it's a fun little detail to add. So I have a little sticker that says, I made this. It's handmade with love. I would love to get ones that say, made by Simply Wisty, constructed by Simply Wisty. I think that'd be so cool. So then I can show off whenever I do progress pictures, my adorable little sewing label. I think that would be a fun addition. That's just me. I thought about it the other day because I thought about it sometime last year because I think it was somebody who actually like sews their own clothes and makes garments that they have their own custom sewing label. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's genius. I want that. I want those. So I was looking into how much it costs to print out like custom ones, but since I don't have a logo or anything of merit at the moment, I was like, I don't want to spend that much money on this yet. So instead, I just bought little generic handmade ones. So people know my costumes are handmade. I actually had forgotten to put it in my Vaggie one when I made Vaggie, and it completely slipped my mind when I was working on I, because I just was trying to get I done. That wasn't even like, it wasn't even like on purpose. I was just like, must get this costume done now. So let's see, what time is it? Oh, it's not even, it's almost 2 o'clock. Awesome. Okay, for some reason, the seams, shoulder seams on the facings got bigger, but we knew that because it was stretching out a little. So I'll just adjust that completely and level that out. There we go. That looks all prim and proper at the moment. See, and now the facing does a continuous thing. So it kind of just works there. Most of the time I try doing this like differently. This is the first time I'm sewing it like this. So I'm actually quite surprised that it worked out as well as it did. Sometimes you get the blessed seamed, sometimes you don't. So you just work with what you get. Blessed seams are blessed for a specific reason, because unless you do this like all the time, or if it's like your private profession, the likelihood of always getting that blessed seam is not, it's not always gonna be a thing. You can try, but sometimes it doesn't always work. So anyone got cool weekend plans? I'm just gonna be hanging out at home. We're probably gonna be watching more anime. We're probably gonna keep watching Skip and Loafer. That's about all I got going. Maybe I'll start rewatching The Empress and get myself ready for the next season. But honestly, I might just start working on my writing project just so I can get that said and done. The trick is, do I want to do something new, or do I want to keep working on projects I have already committed myself to, need to get done? I mean, the wise thing would be work on the stuff I have and finish that stuff. But of course, the creative in me is like, new stuff, new stuff. Always work on new stuff. Which is fun, but at the same time, I have things I need to finish. Like, I have a bunch of fanfics that people are like waiting for and waiting to see the ending to certain things, and I'm like, you know what, you're right, I need to do that. So maybe for the writing challenge my group has going, I should just work on that stuff and make sure those projects are done and fulfilled, so I don't feel like I'm leaving people hanging. Literally. I think one of them, they are hanging. Yep, they're kind of hanging in one of them. So alright, so the next thing I need to start doing is adding sleeves, which is not fun. I'm not excited about adding sleeves, mainly because they're gathered sleeves, and gathered sleeves are annoying. If they were regular sleeves, it probably wouldn't be so bad, but we're gotta work on gathers right now. So let's do that. Again, I would try to work on the skirt because that is way easier to work on, but I have to serge, and I don't want to pull out my serger. Not with like only half an hour before I'm going to stop, so I might as well struggle with some sleeves because we've already struggled with everything else, so why not? So we have the sleeve here, so it's already sewn together. I ironed this piece so it's nice and flat. As one can see, the seam is very smooth. So I'm actually going to try to do this a different way than what I normally do. So what I normally do is I just take the sleeve and gather it blindly without any direction. But this time I'm going to mark the center, and then I'm going to do the midpoint between the notch and the center and kind of like give myself a map on how I'm going to gather it to equally distribute on the sleeve. Now, the other thing I've done in the past, which is probably equally good and simple, is pin the seams together and then put it on the center, on the center seam up here on the shoulder, and then kind of gather it together. So I might do that instead, because that way I can make sure I get everything pretty evenly distributed. So I'm gonna just move the machine down and show you how to do that. And hopefully it works. And as long as I pin them both together, I keep hitting the table, sorry. Hopefully if I pin them all together and do it that way, it works. So in sewing terms, generally when you have a double notch like this is towards the back, single notch front. So here's my bodice, this is my front, this is my sleeve. Let's flip it right side out. Actually no, we're supposed to, oh no, this thing's opening. Okay, so actually no, I do want it this way. We'll just manipulate it, but that's front. Where's the back piece? Let's do it this way then. Oh, this was the right side. Okay. Oof. I was like, wait, no, I should have a back. I should have a front. So I'm matching flat seam with flat seam and doing it this way. I'm trying to put it in between. And now I'm going to go on the inside. So let's just try to pierce in between the seams just to make sure we get it aligned as much as possible. Now, sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. It works best when you do start in the armpit area than anything. I don't know, Yoda. How? What you gonna give me in return? Because you know I don't give them out for free. Okay, there we go. Now I'm gonna find the center of this. I'm gonna find the center of the sleeve. So I just fold it in half. Find the center. Here's the center. So we have the center. They are my favorite snack. Like, that's why I don't give them out so freely. Okay. So I'm gonna just take where the pin is, match it up with the shoulder seam here, and pin this together. Now, I gotta be careful I don't hit the pin. Okay. I think I got that. Awesome. Okay, so Now, as you see, we have a floppy sleeve that needs gathering and so on. So I'm just going to ease it in a little and see what I get going. Now, I could be very mathematically about this, but I'm not. Again, I don't do math very well. It's just my nature. I've just never been good at it, so we're kind of here working the best we can. Oh, well, if that's the case, we can trade, you know? I'm good with that. I wouldn't mind having a little extra going on. All right, so I'm going to start pinning here. Okay, so does that mean you want more? Because I'm going to get larger ones? Like, what's the deal? Explain. Okay, so as you see now, I'm having like this weird gaping, so I'm just going to ease this gather a little to give it more space and room to grow and actually fit inside the arm side. But that's the best part. You want to hear those mercy cries. Makes it more satisfying, especially when it's a crunch. Okay, what is going on here? Okay. Okay. I think I just kind of want to make sure the gather is somewhat even. It may not be super even. So, but we're trying here. Okay. I'm getting pings left and right. What is going on with life right now? I'm very popular, apparently. Super popular. Not really. I don't even know what's going on. It's just notifications. It's just like, hi, this is what's going on. Okay. It's like, oh, there's a sale going on in Costco. Let's send you a push notification. And that's all I'm hearing, push notifications. Very glamorous life I lived. All the push notifications all the time. So. How was your Halloween, Yoda? Halloween here was fun. But apparently I have to sit outside to distribute candy because they won't come otherwise. Which I don't know how I feel about that. I guess I'm still in the old school of, oh, I like ringing people's doorbells. But clearly that's not something they do here. So it's definitely more of a, we're going to like parade up and down the block and access the candy that way. So that's what I contended with. I think we might be able to get the sleeves at least pinned in today. which that in itself is going to be a beautiful thing because I've actually been dreading putting the sleeves in. I have always been camp anti-sleeve. I don't like sleeves. Sleeves are fun. Sleeves are good. I just don't like sleeves. They're one of the harder things to sew in garments. And it's just like, why? Why do we have sleeves? I remember we used to joke years ago at cons. We were like, down with sleeves. We're going to have a sleeve mutiny. So. A mutiny on sleeves, I say. A mutiny. Okay. So now this one's a little bunchy and I don't like that. So I'm gonna try to tighten the curl a little bit on here, the gather. I feel like the back gather is like so wild, which is fine because she has little puff sleeves, so that's the important thing. Honestly, putting baggy sleeves in was so easy because, so again, this works out because I cut my fabric on the fold. So I folded the fabric. So I had one piece going one direction and the other going the opposite direction. So when I put the sleeves together, I have one that's inherently for the back and one that is inherently for one side of the back and the other side of the back. Now, if you don't do that and you cut your fabric on single, like a single, you put a piece of fabric, you cut the sleeve, you cut out, and you just move the fabric over and cut the sleeve again, you need to flip the pattern. So you have one left arm and one right arm. The way I cut a fabric on the fold, I inherently have a left and a right. But if I do it on a single piece of fabric, I will have, and I keep the pattern the same, I will have two right sleeves or two left sleeves. I would not have a mixture of the two. I don't think I put this in the right way. Okay. Take our time. Okay, slide it in between the stitching as best I can. In between. In between. And now I should get as close, I should get the seams joining as closely together as possible. Will it be perfect? Maybe. Maybe not. But we won't find that out till later. So, until after we sew them together. So here we go. I want the center of the seam not the seam. I want the center of the sleeve. Too many S words. So now I have the center. Now I can go to the shoulder seam and say, hey, buddy, what's going on? Let's join you. So we're gonna join this here. And hi. We got something. I have to take the pin out from in here though before it gets stuck. There we go. Awesome. Now again, I'm just going to go I'm gonna just pin down these bottom pieces because they don't need to be gathered. And this gives me an idea of how much I have to gather in the actual sleeve head, or like this part by the shoulder seam is called the sleeve head. This area by the armpit, the underarm area tends to stay straight. You don't want to really bunch this up here unless you really need massive volume, because you just don't want that bulk in your armpit. That's just uncomfortable. It doesn't feel right when you do that. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna go to like the notch area just to give myself an idea of how much I want to gather. Again, I'm sleepy, man. Okay. I don't know why I'm so sleepy. I probably terrorized too many children last night. Actually, it was funny because there was a little girl who was cosplaying, was dressed up as Snow White. She looked absolutely adorable. But she was younger, and she honestly seemed very hesitant to get near me because I had like, I didn't do like crazy makeup, but I was very ghoulish. I had black lipstick. I used my blush to hollow out my cheeks and stuff like that. So I had very ghoulish looking features, and I don't think she was used to that. So when she saw me, they were all like, oh, did she said thank you, she said thank you. And I was like, I heard her. I'm like, I honestly think she was just taken aback by my appearance. And she went up, I guess, to her grandma or whoever I was speaking to, an aunt, some older woman, and she just kind of was like, she's like, oh, she did hear you say thank you, so you did a very good job. And the girl's just staring at me, and I'm like, oh, well, you're welcome. I'm glad. Have a happy Halloween. And the woman was like, yeah, I think you're right about the makeup. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. She's like, thank you for understanding. And I was like, no problem. I find it interesting that like people think I guess it's just society in general, like everyone gets offended by everything so easily, and it's like, I'm not gonna get offended by a child, like unless the child does something egregious, that's different. But like being a normal child, I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, that's such a rude little child. Like, I am not of that nature. I also to know children, I've taught children for years, so it's kind of like yeah, this isn't so horrific, so calm down, people. But again, our society, people tend to be so quick to be like offended and stuff without understanding context and so on. So I could see why they were very concerned that I was mad that the girl did not say thank you. But she did. She did say thank you to me. She said it in a very small little voice, which was fine. It was for me to hear, not for them to hear. But also too, people take like this weird pride that like, look, my child's well behaved. Meanwhile, like when they're little, they tend to do that because they don't know any better, and then they get older and sometimes they just like go completely out of control, and it's like they're not cute or nice anymore. So that's a strange thing. So ay. Estás llegando al final. Estás llegando al final. The final, buddy. Final. Okay. Very close. We're hitting the edge. The end. The end is in sight for the bodice. I have to do this again for the lining, but... So now, it's all gathered and cute, and when I sew it, it should puff up like... Where's my pattern? Where's my mock-up? It will puff up like this. So when I put it on the mannequin, it has this little lip. So the seam is here, but it pops up this way. Which is the look we want. We want to go for that. Where is my lining? Because I got to do this for the lining too. Since I'm doing two different... I'm basically doing two tops and sewing them together to make them one piece. So we'll do it again. Put it right side out. And press it down together. It's not a difficult process, rather a tedious process. And I think that's the issue with sleeves. They are tedious. Also, too, for years, I was adjusting my patterns incorrectly. So I kept destroying the shape of the sleeve head. And then I could not put the sleeves on properly because my sleeves were so, like, this curve and the curve around here, around the sleeve, like, so this is like the armhole and then the sleeve head. Because I would adjust the pattern so incorrectly, I would distort the armhole and the sleeve head, and it took me forever to make a sleeve look proper. So they never fit, they never matched. It was really bad. All my sleeves were gathered sleeves. They were always puffy. Making a flat sleeve was next to impossible. It was a disaster. That was before I learned how to sew. Like, it is, sewing is not easy. It is an art that not everyone can do. Oh, I should have ironed this, but I think I should be okay. Maybe not, because this facing is stiff. This is why you iron everything, by the way. I'm suddenly super hungry. Whoa. What time is it? Oh, no wonder. We're hitting like my lunchtime. And I say my lunchtime because I tend to eat pretty late in the afternoon. But I also tend to eat. I won't generally. Sometimes I eat breakfast at like 9 or something, but for the most part, it's between 10 and 11 I eat lunch. So what I eat now is like a snack. I really don't eat like a meal at this time. Very much more like a snack type thing. And I was eating grapes, but it's like, I need more than that. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll get some lunch meat and just like make a little wrap. I'll go downstairs and make a little wrap with lunch meat and put some of the coleslaw cabbage I had from our curry and katsu this week in it, so it has some extra veggie in it. That might be a nice little snackaroo. And then if I really want something extra, I can have some chips and salsa before I go pick up my child. I go retrieve the child. because child retrieval is important. What is going on? I want to say Discord is having... Oh. No. Oh. Okay. That's important. I gotta look at that once the stream's done. Yeah, we're in the process of getting, like, doctors set up and everything like that. So I've been trying to do the best I can while getting things done. But it's hard. Like, over here, a bunch of doctors, they're not taking new patients or anything. And I think part of it is there's just, like, a large influx. Like, the population has just grown very quickly in the area. And so, like, everyone is, like, here now. So, it's kind of wild. So... Okay, this is too tight, so let's ease it out a little bit. Open up the sleeve a bit. Yeah, you see, like, doing these gathers on, like, stiffer fabric, like cotton, is just so much easier because you really can, like, see, like, where you need to space it out and everything. When I'm dealing with, like, that charmeuse type fabric, it's, like, a little harder to, like, visualize it because the shiny gets in the way. And it just lays differently. It just doesn't lay the way it should. So, I don't like the way that looks. I just gotta ease that out a little bit. Come on. I think I'm gonna pin in the other sleeve and then I'm going to call it a day. So let's just recap. I did finish the lining after much difficulty of making sure everything was nice and smooth, but I got the facing onto the lining. I was able to understitch it and get the sleeves in place. So I feel like I've accomplished quite a bit today, considering I had the difficulty of easing the sleeve into the not the sleeve, easing the facing into the lining pieces, because they're on a curve, so they were just being a pain to not be nice to me, so that wasn't fun. But at least I was able to do that, understitch everything, and iron pieces, plus set the sleeves up to be sewn together. So I might be able to do that off stream. We'll see what happens. If not, I will work on it on stream. It's like I'm almost like kind of just working on this costume on stream. I don't even like seem to do much off stream. Maybe I might surge because that's like an easy thing. Maybe I might finish the dress and we can work on the apron. I don't know. I don't mind just working on this dress on stream because it just... it really does seem to keep me focused and motivated on it. When I'm doing it on my own, I tend to get like pulled in different directions, and I don't always get to do what I need to do. So okay, well, I I guess I'm not finishing this side because for some weird reason, I don't know how that happened. That's why. I did this wrong. I pinned it wrong in place. I was very confused because I was like, where are my gathering stitches? I didn't put it in right. There we go. Wow. I had a moment. I was very concerned. I was like, wait, did I not do this right? Did I mess up? I don't have enough lining fabric to fix this if that's the case. And I'm not in the mood to buy more. So actually, no. I made a mistake. I found it. We're good. I clearly pulled the fabric the wrong way and didn't realize it. But thankfully it's on pinning and not sewing, so I didn't have a massive tragedy that I had to unpick and fix and stuff. It's just here. We're all good. All's good in the hood. Thank goodness. Thank goodness for that. So I genuinely appreciate jazz music more than I think sometimes. I really do like it. So soulful. Okay, this is a problem now. Wow, I'm getting tired. I just realized. This is how I know I need to fix things. I put the... No, this is correct. Wait, no. No, it's not. So this is one thing that you always have to pay attention to. I put... This is my front seam. This is 2 notches. That means this is the back piece. So I put the sleeve on backwards on this one, which you will immediately know because it pulls the fabric very differently. And you might not notice it so much in like a puff sleeve like this, but if it were a flat regular sleeve, it would... The ease you get in the back won't exist because you don't need as much mobility in the front. So like the front fabric will always lay kind of flat against your back. In the back, you have more extra fabric that you don't realize, and it's shaped differently because when you move your arm, you will pull the fabric of the back of your shirt before you do the front. The front will have very little movement, the back always does. So that's why you need to make sure you put your back piece where the back goes and not the front, because the front doesn't have as much stretch. And I found that out the hard way this past summer, spring, when I was making my Ai Hoshino costume, and oops, I put, which were my side front pieces and my side back switched, and I couldn't move my arms because they just didn't have enough mobility because I didn't have enough fabric to move with it because the cuts were all wrong. So So, yeah. Well, at least I found out that I made that mistake. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to pin them on the bottom. I'll adjust the ruffles later, the gathers later on them, because right now I don't have the bandwidth to do so. So I'm just going to put them where they need to be, because now I know they're in the correct spot. And the only reason why I didn't notice it so much with this one is because, yeah, I noticed it because this was like, I'm like, wait, this doesn't belong here. Why is this? Yeah. That's never fun. So, all right, I'm pinning these two together so I have it there. And that's it. All right, so leave my mountain of fabric here. Here we go. So, she on the move for now. Okay, so as you see my dress form in all her glory. Why is there... Oh. This must have been from when I was streaming the wig making. I was like, why is there this little bit of glue on here? Okay, I have to clean that off. It's on my mat. That's not fun. So, all right. Well, we got some work done. Not as much as I would have liked, but we got quite a bit done, which was fantastic. All is good in the hood. Let's see. I don't think there's anyone that I'm interested in raiding. Oh, there's a lot of people just playing with 3D printers and stuff like that, which is fine. Working project purge day. Oh, interesting. Oh, they're doing studying and productivity. Okay. Well, regardless, I don't think I'm gonna raid anyone today. And I'm just gonna go head out. I'm looking to see who else is out there. It's like there's not many people out there right now. There's a lot of like 3D printers just like printing. So you could like just watch ASMR style as they go back and forth, back and forth. But anyway, I'm going to go. It has been lovely crafting with all of you, and I will be back next Tuesday with more crafting. And I have other streams coming up, more gaming stuff on other days of the week. So I am going to head off for now. Again, I will be back next Tuesday, 11:30-ish. And with more Niffty progress. And we'll see if I get anything done this weekend. If I do, I will show off. But for now, I am heading off. And I will see you all next time. Bye.